Welcome everybody. Sean and Duncan, I'm Korean English ancestry, and you're joining us with the Learning Circle today. We're going to be learning about making bug sprays and sprays for the home, for room sprays. Today we're coming to you from Bee's Kitchen, and we're honored to be working together on the unceded occupied traditional territories of the Musqueam people. And a disclaimer that we do all the time is for every session now is if there's there may be sensitive subject matter or stories shared during the UBC Learning Circle, so you may become triggered or something might be upsetting for you. So please ensure in advance that you have a safety net set up for yourself. This could mean a trusted elder, friend, family member, counselor, or crisis contact number. And today we're having a partnership, and it's between the Indigenous Research Partnership and the Center for Excellence Indigenous Health Learning Circle. And of course, we're always in collaboration with the First Nations Health Authority. And today I wanted to introduce people that you've met before, and this is Elli and Jessica, and I'll let them introduce themselves in their own words.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Hueser. Both Elli and I are fourth-year students at Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be invited as a guest on this webinar. This is our fourth one. I'm originally from Saskatchewan. I am from Cree ancestry, from Lac Orange Indian Band, and I'm excited to be here. Hi, and I'm Elli Reilander. I'm also a fourth-year student, like Jessica was saying, at the Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine. And I grew up on Vancouver Island in a town called Sydney. And I have a background in marine biology and forest ecology. And I made the transition to naturopathic medicine. And I'm really excited to start blending a lot of my, my knowledge together. And that kind of brings us to the work that we've been doing here with the UBC Learning Circle in talking about medicine making and preserving traditional and natural medicines. And our first talk was talking about infusing oils and making salves. We've made teas, infusions. Our last demonstration was on making syrups and things for more of like your winter time, coughs and colds. And today we're going to be working with essential oils. So it's a little bit of a different talk than what we've been doing in the past, because we're not really going to be preserving a medicine today, but we're going to be showing you what one type of preserved medicine looks like. And it's a very concentrated, powerful medicine. And so we're going to show you a couple of really simple ways to use those.
So feel free to send any questions or comments to webinar if you have access, or a video conference. Thank you for joining us, to our communities who are joining us today, and please just let us know if you just unmute your mic, and it should go from red to green, and if you have any questions. And we're going to get started.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we also have our own disclaimer, just so that everybody recognizes that both Jessica and I are students. We cannot give any advice or medical or otherwise, really. All the information that we're providing to you today is coming from resources that you can find on the PDF that Davina has graciously uploaded, I think, to everybody's. In whatever way you're tuning in today, you should have access to that. If you don't, please send us a message and we can tell you how to find that. That will cover sort of everything we're going to talk about today, including all the recipes, so you can follow along with that if you'd like. And also just to say that we're going to be showing you general techniques in how we're using essential oils today. These are general guidelines. If you have any medical conditions that you are concerned about, then please seek the attention of a professional healthcare provider, whatever that looks like for you in your life. Anything you want to add to that little disclaimer? Okay. So, I'm sure most people have heard of essential oils before. It's used widely in the therapy called aromatherapy. But basically what they are, and we've got a few samples here that we're going to be working with today. They are the oils that are concentrated from plants, and they generally smell really good and really strong. And some of the most popular ones are things like lavender, tea tree oil,
chamomile, I mean the eucalyptus, there's tons that I'm sure that you're already familiar with and you're already using. And the constituents that come out of the plants are generally terpenes and phenylpropanes. So the essential oils are, because they're an oil and the way they're actually distilled, we're not going to get too much into the actual like technicalities of how you make an essential oil today, but it's generally through, there's a few different methods. One of them is like a distillation process, and if you were to make essential oils on your own, you'd probably use a system like that. But basically you need a lot of plant material to make a really small amount of oil, so the medicinal power is highly, highly concentrated. And because of that, you only need to use tiny amounts, and you want to be very careful because there are some toxicity risks with using essential oils. And so for the sake of this presentation, we're just going to make a generalized statement that essential oils are not to be used internally. So don't drink your essential oils. Unless you're under the care of somebody who really knows what they're doing and they're licensed and certified, because there are real long-lasting potential toxicities and damage that you could do to yourself. And then the other thing too is when applying essential oils to your skin, we're going to be demonstrating ways that you can that we're going to be using diluted essential oils. There are select oils that you can use undiluted, but again, for the sake of this talk, we're just going to say make sure that your essential oils, when you're using them, are diluted. This generally leaves everybody open to using essential oils in a relatively safe manner. One of the books that we are working from today is called Advanced Aromatherapy. So we're going to come around and I'm just going to show this off to you. There's lots of books that you can reference. That you can reference when working with aromatherapy, but this is the one that we're working with today. It's got great safety profiles as well, and it breaks down all of the essential oils and what they're used for and when they may be contraindicated, like when you wouldn't want to use them. All right. So that kind of covers what essential oils are. Essential oils are also known as volatile oils because when you smell something that smells good, that's actually the oils coming in and entering your nasal passages, and that's actually the medicine. So when you leave an essential oil exposed to the air, those molecules start just releasing themselves into the atmosphere very, very quickly. So we call that very volatile because it's really hard to keep them encapsulated for long periods of time. So again, that's why you want to make sure that your essential oils are stored properly. So usually they'll be in like amber glass bottles. Keep your lids on, because if you can smell them, that means that they're evaporating into the air. And when you're working with like teas and anything that you're cooking, even when you're cooking and you're cooking with culinary herbs like oregano or thyme or basil, you're like, oh my god, it smells so good. That's the volatile oils, the essential oils that you're smelling from those plants. So usually if you want to keep the medicinal power in, you want to keep those dishes covered so that those oils fall back down into your dish. Because as they're released into the air, they smell really good, but if you actually want to keep that in your medicine, keep that covered. So Jessica is going to be guiding us through most of the recipes today, and I think we're going to first sort of show you a lot of the supplies that we've gathered today that we're going to be using, and so I'll kind of let Jess take over.
Can you pass over the funnels?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go quickly through the equipment list of what we have. So measuring cups, we have funnels, primarily to put into obviously the bottles so that we can put them in after and pour the liquid in. Ideally, it'd be using distilled water, depending on the location that you're at, and if you were to use a well, there could be intense mineral content in the water, so distilled water just gives out overall well balance and it doesn't disrupt the ingredients when it's stored long term. We have essential oils here, so you can choose the mixture that you want. And then for some of the additional options that we have brought in witch hazel and as well as some floor water. And we'll talk about that when we use those items. So we're going to start off by making our first spray.
And I think before we do that, I'm just going to jump ahead. So Jess is going to start making the spray, but for our last project, we're going to require some boiled water. So I'm just going to start boiling some water over the stove.
So if you want to follow with me, it's going to be on the second page, preparing a natural insect repellent, that very top one there. So,
And I just wanted to ask for a minute. Do the VC participants, have you accessed the link that was sent to you? You should have had a link sent to you with the PDF with this information. Thank you.
no problem. All right, so for some people at home, maybe you don't know the size of the bottle that you're using. So a really quick, simple way to do so is pouring water in. So pouring water into just about to the neck, because then when you put the mister in, it's going to obviously overflow. And you're just going to pour it into another container and just measure that amount. So here we have a 100 ml container. So using that recipe, we have half distilled water and half witch hazel. So out of 100 mils, half of that is 50. So we're going to use 50 mils of water and 50 mils of distilled water, or 50 mils, sorry, witch hazel. So in the witch hazel that we're using is just a really nice solvent that will be able to preserve the overall product. It's a similar effect to what we use in the tinctures. We use vodka in the or alcohol in tinctures that help to preserve the. You're gonna show that? Yeah, perfect. So Ellie's gonna show as I keep talking.
Where would somebody purchase items like this?
So you can easily find it at any grocery store, any pharmacy. It's going to be near the pharmacy area where like Epsom salts would be. Yeah, overall it's a really nice product to overall help keep your spray for a longer shelf life. So we're going to pour this in, and like I said, if you don't have one of these nice cups and you have a different cup, you can put the funnel in and just pour in the mixture. So, as we create this, continuing on, the last ingredient for this is a combination of essential oils. And so, I've added a really nice picture that I was able to find online that gives overall some ideas for bug sprays and some of the insect repellents. So today what we're going to use is a combination of eucalyptus, lavender, and peppermint.
Oh.
And if you look underneath the very nice picture, that all goes towards mosquitoes. So, depending on the recipe that you see, the essential oils combination is going to vary. Where you can get essential oils is from far and wide between, but that's also very important, like we discussed earlier, in terms of the quality of the essential oils. So especially if you're going to put it onto your body or how you're going to utilize it, it's very important, I think, and as we would from our training, to choose pure organic essential oils, just because it's going direct contact into your skin, as well, like versus if you just want to use just an overall diffuser for a room tea light with a diffuser and suspended in oil, then you can choose basically anything, and there's lots of different brands and different prices and different companies that sell that, and you're more than welcome to use whatever you'd like.
Yeah, so and just to continue on with that, so an essential oil is different than like a fragrance. So oftentimes people, when they're using beauty products, they're looking for a fragrance, and you can find like things that are like a lavender fragrance, and so it's something that is oftentimes even synthetically, so there's like chemicals that they can create to make it smell like lavender, and it's usually less expensive than a lavender essential oil, because a pure therapeutic grade essential oil requires, like I said, a lot of plant material and a lot of work to make sure that you're getting a really high quality product. And since we are here talking about medicinal uses of plants, it's really important that you know where your essential oils are coming from, so that you trust that what you're actually getting is the therapeutic qualities. because you're not going to get that from adulterated or synthetic versions of those plants.
So if somebody, for instance, is in a rural community and they don't have access to a health food store, where would they get these essential oils? Like, who could they order them from?
They can order online. There's a lot of different companies, and if people are interested, we can add that later onto the PDF. But we have a lot of good essential oils in mind that we've been expressed from instructors and different guest speakers that we've had at our school, and we're more than welcome to share that information.
Yeah, and also just as an aside, we don't actually have any affiliates with any of the companies that we disclose through this. So yeah, so the companies that we suggest are generally ones that that we just trust and we've used personally or had experiences with through our training. We don't receive money or any compensation for suggesting any of the products that we use. Yeah.
One last comment that I want to make about essential oils and the ability of it being organic versus non-organic for some that do not know. A lot of crops can be sprayed with various things like herbicides, pesticides, other additives to help increase the growth. And so if you think about how they process that, and that's just the importance of knowing where it's coming from, you are potentially putting all of that toxins directly to your skin if you were to apply it. So just more importance for the why of choosing organic versus inorganic when you're choosing how to make your medicines with those intentions.
And on that note too, another reason why it's really important is a lot of toxins in our environment tend to be lipophilic, which means that they really love fat. They store really well in fat, they are attracted to fat, and an oil is essentially like a plant fat. So when you're taking the oils out of the plant, the chances of having the toxins come in with that are a little higher as well. So, yeah.
So, continuing on for the very end of the natural insect repellent, it literally took less than 2 or 3 minutes just measuring that out. And so this is the beauty of making your own your own recipes. Is there it says 7 to 10 drops for 60 milliliters of a diffusion guide that I found online. And so literally I can choose something different versus Ellie versus other people in this room to be able to figure out how nice of a insect repellent we want and the different flavor or smell that we like. So how many drops of peppermint would you like? How many drops of lavender or eucalyptus would you like?
I like lavender the best.
So should we do 4 or 5 drops of lavender?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got the peppermint, so I'm just going to do a couple drops of peppermint. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 drops of peppermint.
Okay, we'll do 5 drops of lavender. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that leaves 1 drop of eucalyptus.
Well, here we go.
So, the importance of an amber jar now. So we're gonna tighten this on very tight because every time you want to use it, you want to shake it before every use, and then you'll be able to spray it.
And the reason Jess is shaking it is because oil and water
You can actually see it
really
here.
mix.
You can actually see it in the
So when
bottle.
you're using essential oils in other products, you may want to find a way to emulsify
to
the
see
oil
the
so it actually
oils?
stays in suspension of the water. But for a product like this, it actually doesn't really matter too much. Just make sure you give it a really good shake.
May not be able to see
Yeah,
it there.
it doesn't really
Just the color.
focus too much, but so just make sure you give it a really good shake so the oil and the water they'll temporarily mix into suspension.
So this will be a good segue because we want to show the importance of either storing between a glass jar and a plastic. So if you just jump down to the bottling really quick, the advantages for plastic of this bottle is that it's light, it's easy to transport, it's very mobile. If you were to travel, say backpacking or just a day trip in the city, on a hike, wherever, it's going to be easy and it's going to be light compared to your bag and your contents. The disadvantage of this is that light can penetrate through the bottle, and so you're actually able to potentially lose the potency of the strength of the smell of those volatile oils, but as well, depending on the plastic bottle, the oils will actually adhere to the plastic more than to the water. So when you try and shake it and you actually pour it all out, the oil, you'll see an oil ring within the bottle. versus a glass amber jar, which is darker, and so it's difficult for the light to penetrate and inactivate the volatile oils. It'll be able to keep the potency of the strength in the volatile oils longer, but as well, because it's glass, the oils won't stick to the glass as much as to the plastic. So when you shake it, you're actually able to see it just being suspended in the water itself. The disadvantage of this is that it's potentially heavier than the plastic, and so it's easily breakable, and so obviously that could create a mess or a spill within your hiking bag or your day travel bag. But
I'm wondering about witch hazel. What is it made from?
the witch hazel plant.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's also so witch hazel is really astringent, which means it's quite drying. Yeah. So it's often like Jess said, you can find it in any pharmacy. It's actually really commonly accessible. And I guess something else that we should maybe mention too is some commonalities of these. So we just use these essential oils in our bug spray because they have actions that insects don't like. They either don't like the taste of, they don't like the smell. But there's also some commonalities and some general actions that a lot of essential oils have. So essential oils in general are antimicrobial. So a lot of people might think of like tea tree oil as something that would be really good for cuts and scrapes and kind of disinfectant style applications. So that's actually something that runs quite vastly through the essential oil in general. And then another thing that people oftentimes think of essential oils for is for relaxation. So oftentimes when people put essential oils in their room, they're oftentimes using lavender or chamomile or things that are quite relaxing, calming, sedating. And then another thing that people oftentimes think of essential oils for is relaxing muscles, and so we call it an antispasmodic. So a lot of your salves and topical applications, people oftentimes think of things like peppermint or what are some others I'm starting to think of right now?
Relaxing?
Yeah.
Chamomile?
Yeah, so things that actually penetrate the skin and allow your muscles to relax. But every essential oil has its own unique properties, but those are sort of three properties that run quite widely through essential oils.
So, what I was doing as Ellie was describing all the actions of the essential oils was making a label. So it's also very important when you make your medicinal products to make a label. And so on a label, what I put is the name of it. I just put bug spray. I put the date, so May 18th of 2016, and then I wrote all the ingredients, so that when we make other items here, that you won't get confused with what's the bug spray and what is going to be the room spray, because obviously each item has its own intention and its own individual indication to use it when and where. All right, so are there any questions about the bug spray so far?
So the bug spray, you can spray it on your clothes, your skin.
Yeah. You still want to make sure that you, just like any type of spray, don't spray it in your eyes, your mouth,
Yeah.
and into any cuts. It might sting.
Is it safe for a baby to use on a baby? Like, is there an age restriction? Like, it should be 2 and up, or is baby enough?
I'm going to say that that's probably something that you need to look into the individual essential oil that you're choosing to use. In general, it'll likely be safe, but again, because this is so individual, make sure that you actually look into each essential oil that you're choosing for that product and knowing what, because there's a big difference between like a 6-month-old, a 2-year-old, a 10-year-old,
Or a newborn.
or a newborn. Yeah, exactly.
So. Any more questions?
Is there a question?
Yeah, more questions.
Okay. I don't think so.
Krista has a question. She'd like to know if you could use mineral oil in the spray.
Mineral oil.
Oh, we have a couple farther up here.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure mineral oil.
Yeah, I mean, for this purpose, I may not, especially if you're going to be spraying it on your clothing. I feel like that may stain things. Yeah, most recipes wouldn't involve a mineral oil, but that's not to say that you couldn't make a mineral oil and add essential oils and use it as like a carrier oil. and then use those as like a topical application. So a lot of times people would use like a magnesium oil, which would be a form of mineral oil for like soothing muscle tension. So you'd be able to add a few drops of essential oil to that would kind of be in line with your indication for that product. And we call that using a carrier oil. So when I talked earlier about diluting, like using your oils diluted, you can dilute. So we're doing actually a dilution in water and witch hazel, but you can also dilute it in oil, and you can almost use any oil that you want. Or you can, I think in the fall or next year we may do a talk on making lotions, so you can use essential oils in your lotions. Back last year when I did the demonstration on making salves and oils, you can use the essential oils in that. So I mean, this is these products are really you can use them quite vastly, and just making sure that it's just not too strong, and that you know the oil that matches the indication, and you understand the contraindications, which is why we make the recommendation for of a book that we sort of trust.
We have some questions that are
Yeah.
allowed to ask.
Yeah, of
Oh,
course.
perfect. Okay. Where do we start now? How about a spider repellent? I have a huge hairy ones in my place. Oh my gosh. My phobia. Somebody else is asking about fleas. And we've got bed bugs and cockroaches. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting the point.
Yeah. People have bugs. Yeah, so again, like you can try, I know for dogs, people will oftentimes even put a few drops of essential oil on like a collar of a dog for fleas. There's also other types of, like using a food grade, oh my gosh. Read my mind, Jessica.
I know. Food grade.
Diatomaceous earth. That's what I'm thinking of. You can also use that for dogs and fleas as well.
What
It's
was
not.
that? Sorry?
It's a diatomaceous earth. It's actually like crushed exoskeletons of.
And where do you get something like that?
You can get it almost anywhere, and a lot of pet stores actually will
Really?
carry it. Just make sure it's food grade, because if your dog or your cat licks themselves, you want it to make sure it's something that they can ingest. But that's another thing. You can kind of just rub it into their coat, and then making sure too, like. I get a little bit hesitant using a lot of strong essential oils with animals. I have got lots of animals, and I have used essential oils with them, but I do get a little concerned because their sense of smell is so much stronger than ours that I have a hard time seeing, if something like this smells really strong to me, I can't even really imagine what it would smell like to my animal. So while there's a lot of resources online with using essential oils with your pets, I would I don't know, have maybe a little bit of common sense with it, so you don't overwhelm your pet.
We are planning on having somebody in the fall too that works with pets.
Oh,
specifically,
wonderful.
so-
Oh, great.
because
So
I
they
know
may
that's
be
a
able to
whole
answer.
different
It's a
avenue.
whole, so they can be safe for the
But
use
what
with
about
animals,
people?
but
Still, if there's fleas in your house or there's bed bugs and things like that, they're
yeah, so
alternatives?
making a spray like this would be great. Again, but it's also a lot of basic hygiene stuff, like making sure you vacuum really well. You can use the diatomaceous earth as well in your home. You can sprinkle on your carpets and you can vacuum that up.
shopping with bed bugs?
For fleas,
Oh.
yeah. I have less experience with bed bugs. From my understanding with bed bugs is it's kind of a game changer. Like once you got them, it's like a big problem. I don't know if it was me, I don't know if I would rely on essential oils to manage my bed bug problem. I think that you're really looking at like destroying those sheets and
Overhaul.
like a total overhaul, unfortunately. It's a little bit of a different issue with like fleas generally have a life cycle, and with good hygiene you can usually kind of clean that up relatively easily and kind of stay on top of it. But with bed bugs, once you have an infestation, that can be a real challenge for
Okay, and
people.
what about spiders? She asked.
Yeah. Spiders, again, you can try the essential oils around your house, the ones that are just generally good for insect repellents. I know, like for myself, I'm sure Jess has experienced it too, certain times of the year, it's like, the spiders just come on in. There's not a lot you can do about it, but try to use the essential oils. Again, good sort of house hygiene, and when that fails, a good glass and paper outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah has a question. She wants to know what where is what question? She'd like to know what the function of witch hazel is and insect repellent, and how long does it last?
So we said that witch hazel is astringent, so that's the action of that. It's drying. The bug spray, I would assume that you'd probably want to use this within the season, so I don't see it lasting more than 6 months shelf life. But hopefully with this amount, we'd actually use it by the end of fall.
Mm-hmm. Essential oils themselves, because they're antimicrobial, they're kind of a preservative in themselves. The witch hazel, because it's got it's like a alcohol base, it's going to be also a preservative. So I mean, again, kind of using common sense with your products. Like sort of in general, we go, yeah, 6 months to a year. It's not something that needs to be refrigerated in this case, but again, if you notice mold, if it starts to smell off, if it feels weird on your skin, those are all signs that maybe your product has expired. So just again, using a little bit of common sense with how you're actually using your products and being like, oh, this doesn't smell the same as it did before, it's probably gone off. If you're noticing little chunks floating in it, again, it's probably gone off. So yeah, just make sure you look and smell your product before you use it if it's kind of past that timeline, I'd say.
And somebody also asked, they sell Scentsy oils. Scentsy products, sorry.
Right.
The products, and they wondered if their oils are good for this kind of work.
I do know that a lot of the oils that are sold as kind of multi-level marketing products generally aren't therapeutic grade. I would look into that and I would ask the company specifically about purity, how they go about their extraction process, and their therapeutic quality versus just sort of their fragrant quality. There are several companies out there making quite a few claims that I personally wouldn't be one of my go-to brands, but I think it was really up to the consumer to ask the questions and to do their due diligence and maybe compare it between the answers of a couple of other companies that we may be suggesting.
Okay, so it's a difference between the fragrance purpose and
the medicinal.
Yes. Okay.
And when you do ask those questions to certain companies, obviously the transparency with those answers are going to show you how much information they're willing to share.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, from my experience from a few of these companies, all I've had for an answer is that they're a grade A or a grade A type of product. But it's like, what does grade A mean? What is any other essential oil out there compared to a grade A? What is the scale? How does that look like? And asking those questions. And if they don't follow up with those, the future answers, obviously you have a dead end road, and you can kind of see the quality of that product from that standpoint.
And a lot of those terms aren't actually standardized terms. They're just terms that sound really good to people. So, making sure that people, if they're making a claim like it's a grade A product, like Jeff said, is that even a certification, or is that just a claim that company's making? And again, if they're saying that it's all natural, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're using an all natural fragrance, or is it actually 100% pure essential oil from the plant? Is that plant the species of plant that you're intending to be using? There's a lot of questions that you really should answer, because not every lavender is the same lavender. Not every chamomile is the same chamomile. There's a lot of different species, and you want to make sure that you know which species that you're using.
And just to follow up on the recipes are for adults, humans. So generally probably going to be good for people from 16 to age up towards probably about 60 years of age. So that's the other big difference that we've already discussed in terms of pets, but children and also elderly people. So obviously the immune system and how sensitive people are going to be a huge factor. And with botanical medicine, there's actually a children's rule in terms of the dosing that we use and the calculation that we use for that reason. So that would answer the question for the newborn. But again, just following up and just supporting what Ellie said is every age is going to be different, but also every individual is different, especially with your immune system and obviously the conditions and your health state at the current present time that you want to use any of these products. So definitely contact a healthcare provider if you have any questions or you're unsure of your situation, just to ensure that you're using the most safest combination and formula for yourself.
Yeah, and oftentimes with kids, we generally, like, there's different levels of kind of like intensity of application. So using a room diffuser would be kind of like the least invasive because it's just in the room, you're smelling it. Sort of the next level would be like a skin application. Then the next level would be like ingestion. And so as you kind of move further and further, the risks get higher and higher, which is why we're saying like we don't want to see people ingesting these oils. Like we don't want people to use the oils undiluted because the risks of toxicity increase. So if you have like a child that's maybe having trouble sleeping at night, maybe considering a room diffuser would be a really beautiful way to use an essential oil versus like lathering them in an essential oil, which can be really overwhelming and maybe a lot of systemic absorption for somebody younger. So there's actually a lot that kind of goes into making those decisions, which is why maybe working with like a aromatherapist, if you're using it for more medicinal reasons, would be advantageous versus, just having something be like, oh, I really like the smell of this, and having it kind of going in a room. And there's a couple of good, like one of our favorite like kind of local shops is called Sage Natural Wellness. Again, no affiliation, but they have really, really great products. They're a local company, and their staff are really knowledgeable. So you can go in there and you can ask them questions. And they sell all the essential oils. They're all therapeutic grade. A lot of them are, when they can get organic, they get organic. So it's so you can even use a store like that as a resource.
Yeah. I did. Because you mentioned more than once, check with your healthcare professional. And I know you both work at Casey Nation. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
What's happening there?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
So we've been at Casey First Nation since January of this year. It's been a brand new external satellite clinic as part of our clinical practicum portion. Wednesday is an 8-hour shift that Ellie's currently on, and I'm on the Friday shift. So we actually see quite a different range of patients that we see on each shift, which is very nice and challenging and different, which is great as a student, always looking for a learning opportunity. Overall, the community has been very receptive and very positive and very excited about what we're bringing there and the healthcare that we're offering. We do have a lot of people who's interested and who's attended and have notified family members and friends and been able to bring in more patients for us and by referral. It's been an amazing experience. It's definitely been my goal since day one of being a first-year student at school, so it's really nice and humbling to witness and be a part of the process of the entire program in the health center that we've had there. It's been a really nice honor and privilege again working there, and everyone that I've had as a patient, if not people who've been passed on to other clinicians, and we've co-managed a few patients, and everyone is so warm and welcoming, and there's been a few patients in particular that are very grateful and very thankful that we've been there. There's been numerous occasions that patients in office with the 4 walls just thank me so much for just sitting there, listening to them, and being another ear to listen to their health concerns.
So how does it work then? So at the health center, they've got a doctor, they've got...
So we're students and we do not have a medical license, so we're unable to practice medicine unless we're being supervised. So we each have a different supervisor on the Wednesday and Friday shifts. And so I'm able to go, I have to do a preview and review at the very beginning and end of all of our shifts. And we just basically go over with the doctor being like, so-and-so's coming in, they're coming in with these potential issues. If they're a first-time patient, I just want to do initial intake. These are the questions that I'm going to ask them. And they kind of make sure that we're on track.
Yeah.
And then eventually when we want to implement treatment protocols and actually start doing acupuncture or dietary counseling, we tell them in advance, like, this is what I want to do, and it's ultimately up to that doctor to approve it and say, yes, go ahead, I trust you, or nope, I don't think that's suitable for this time.
Yeah.
I want more information because of this so that we know what we're doing in the future is safe. And so it's been really nice because it opens a lot of doors and a lot of opportunity of learning from that doctor themselves, but also a lot of learning as well from patients. I've had many patients on reserve that are first-time acupuncture.
So is this something unique throughout all of BC?
It is unique throughout all of Canada. We are
Wow.
the first school that is on reserve land giving free naturopathic health care.
And non-KC members can also seek help?
So the clarification that potentially some people who were misinterpreted or just confused from the last session is that I've spoken to the chief and the people who do the booking, and they said first priority goes to Katzie First Nation for the reasons of why we've created that strong partnership with Katzie. And so first priority goes to those bookings of Katzie First Nation members. Otherwise, the doors are open to any non-Katzie First Nation member, whether you're First Nation or not, and within the community and off reserve. So it's open to anyone and everyone. Just know that first priority goes to Katzie First Nation members, as I know they were also a little bit worried.
So if any other communities out there were interested in doing something like that, how would they get started? How did this come about? Do you know anything about it?
I was the person who created this. So I was approached by by many instructors and by many people in my school in terms of more First Nation health and First Nation news and current events and whatnot. And one particular instructor approached me and said, why are we not helping First Nations people? There's a lot of different programs that our school's involved with globally. And for example, NDI, which is Naturopathic Doctors International, Elli's been a fortunate member of that process, and she's went down to Nicaragua in first year and been able to give healthcare to those people for 10 days at a clinic.
Yeah, it's a few days. It's a whole global health program for students, so we spend time learning about global health issues and working with local farmers and then providing healthcare in their clinic as well.
So there's many opportunities to go outside of Canada, and there's nothing really happening in our backyard. And obviously being an advocate and obviously wanting to help back the community, someone was able to be in the right place, the right time, and luckily, unfortunately, I was one of those right people. She approached me, asked me, we discussed it further, and she asked, is this a potential option, and is this a viable, sustainable project? And it was just a matter of appropriately asking people and in the right, obviously, language and conversation to start this up. So I already established connections with First Nations Health Authority. I approached them and I gave them the idea, and I was like, these are our intentions, these are our thoughts. Are you interested, and are you willing to further discuss this in person? And they were super excited, they were super happy. First Nations Health Authority just starting up, when we talked to them, it was the second year. They were very interested in that, aligned with their mandate, their vision, and obviously the model that they wanted to create for BC nations as a whole. And it worked out tremendously, perfect timing for me. So
Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've got more questions, but I know we need to get on to the next section.
Yeah, we
So
got
we'll
two
go
more
back to the
quick.
questions.
Yeah, we got 2 more quick projects, and then we're happy to answer questions. And then if we run out of time, because we are on a bit of a time restriction today, we do need to wrap up by 11. But we're happy to still take questions, and then we can respond to those after the program's over. We can respond via email, or we can create a sort of a frequently asked questions page that we can post publicly for everyone. So yeah, so everybody's questions will get answered, just maybe not live today.
Yeah. All right, so the next one that we have, going back to page number 2, preparing room sprays. So you can use completely distilled water if you would like, or you could use floral water. Do you want to discuss floral water?
Yeah, so floral water is it's pretty cool. So basically, like I was saying, when somebody goes to distill an essential oil, what happens is plant material is generally prepared in water, and then it goes through a distillation process, which means it gets boiled, and then there's steam that's created, and then the oil and water separate. And the oil becomes an essential oil, a pure essential oil, but then there's all this water left over that people oftentimes discard. But it's actually this really beautifully fragranted water. So we call that floral water. And you can get a floral water for almost any type of essential oil that's made. The more popular ones are the ones that are, yeah, so it's pretty strongly scented still. So this is not an essential oil, but it has a fragrance like an essential oil, and it's still a pure plant product. But it's water-based instead of oil-based, which is pretty awesome because you can use it in replacement of water in almost all of your recipes, or you can change the ratio of the floral water to distilled water, depending if you maybe find it a little too fragrant, because it is quite potent, some of them.
So what I did, according to that recipe that I have there, is 2/3. So we have a 100 ml bottle. Again, we're using another similar amber glass jar that we use for the bug spray. So 2/3 of 100 mils is approximately 66.67 mils. So I just put approximately 2/3 of 100 of just water, and I filled the rest to floral water of 100 mils. And so we're just going to add this in, and again, add a combination of the essential oils there. We're going to use, since this is a peppermint floral water, we're going to use peppermint and eucalyptus. So how many drops of peppermint and eucalyptus? Do you just want to use peppermint? You can use whatever we'd like. Okay.
Smells
It'll be nice
so
for
good.
We'll use the eucalyptus in the next project.
Yeah,
Go
so
for it.
fresh.
Okay, so we have 5 to 10 drops, and Ellie's going to choose the combination as I write the label.
I'm just making it up. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to do a little less of the peppermint because it's got the floral peppermint water in there. So you said how many drops total?
5 to 10.
Total?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do start with 3 drops of the peppermint. Of the lavender. And then I'm going to shake it up and see what it smells like. And then we can play with it if we don't like the smell. Oh, it smells pretty good. So, and since this is the room spray, we can just spray it.
How long do these smells usually?
It all depends on the glass bottle and the storage. So obviously with using the glass jar, it's going to last a little bit longer as compared to the plastic.
Okay.
And again, it's going to be the essential oil potency of the smell and whatnot that you
Oh, that's so fresh. I can't spray it on the camera, but behind the scenes, our techie people are getting it.
So,
it's fresh.
so we have that room spray.
And that'll last for about how long if it's stored properly?
The actual, like in the bottle or in the air?
Both.
Both. Okay. Well, in the bottle, again, it totally varies. Like I'd say that this would probably, if you're keeping it closed in like a dark place, again, probably like the six months to a year, you're probably good. But if you're like opening it a lot and the smells are evaporating, then it may last less. And then in the air, I would say it probably depends on your sensitivity to the smells. Like some people may feel like after a few minutes you may get used to it, you may not notice it as much, and other people may after an hour or so they might still smell it. But but I think it really just because these are all like antimicrobial and all those in nature as well, I think it just gives a really fresh sensation to the room. It puts a little moisture in the air, so it actually has a lot of functions. And you can use these, I mean, do a test spot if you're going to use them on fabric. I would do a little test spot first to make sure the oils aren't going to damage your fabrics. But these types of things can be sprayed on sheets, or like if you're putting your clothes out on the line, you can spray them around your clothes as they're drying. Gives it just a kind of really nice fresh scent.
Yeah. That affects your mood, some of them too.
Yeah, well, things like peppermint can be really kind of uplifting. Something like lavender can be really relaxing, very calming. And essential oils are widely used for things like insomnia and depression and ADHD and it's but again, like if you're using it for specific ailments, talk to somebody so that you're making the right decisions. Yeah.
Okay. So for our final demonstration, we're going to be using a steam inhalation. So we've been boiling water throughout the entire time that we've had, even before we started this session. So obviously boiling water in a kettle or on the stove for 5 to 10 minutes will create a boil. So what we're going to do before my glasses get steamed up is you can either choose to use essential oils or the actual herbs itself. You just obviously want to make sure that the indications and the amounts are appropriate, so definitely talk to a healthcare provider for that. In this, the dilution guide is 8 to 10 drops. Eucalyptus and peppermint are really nice ones to help clear up the nasal passages.
So this would be more of a therapeutic use of essential oils. So oftentimes people who are doing steam inhalations are people who are feeling really congested in the head. So you may have a head cold or allergies, and then choosing things like eucalyptus and peppermint are very clearing to those nasal passages. So what happens is as soon as these oils hit the hot water, they're going to start evaporating in the steam. So, do you want to go under?
For the scarf, doesn't matter.
So
we're going to demonstrate how to do it. Jessica's going to demonstrate how to do it.
I'm going to show you guys how to do this. So we're just going to do this really quickly. We're just going to let it cover so that we're not allowing those essential oils to lift up. Davina's graciously allowed us to use her scarf. So if you're using herbs, you would allow to cover it for 5 minutes just to allow like the actual plant herbs to be released to expose those volatile oils. You would want to use a towel or something thick to actually be able to tent, and you want to sit comfortably in front of the bowl, so sitting down or being comfortable because you're going to be here for a while. And you're just going to place over it, but also tent it over the entire bowl so that no steam is being evaporated into there.
We're going to demonstrate that.
So I'm not going to stay as long as I do.
No, we're just going to show you what it would look like.
So you're going to quickly go over, and then the towel, and you don't want to get it wet, and you just go over.
You create yourself like a little steam hut. And again, use this with a little bit of common sense, like if you're finding it hard to breathe or anything stinging or if you're feeling any adverse reactions.
Or if you want to wake up.
Yeah.
Does lavender relax you?
Yeah, but this is a very stimulating. Do you want to try? You'll see it just like hits you. Yeah.
So again, if you're feeling any adverse reactions of any kind, it could be that you're having a reaction to the essential oils. It is rare that people have allergies, but especially with high purity ones, like I actually can't use pine essential oil. I'm allergic to the pine essential oil, and I can tell that immediately. So watch for things like allergic reactions, if you're having difficulties breathing, if you're getting a rash of any kind. Because it may just be that you use too much oil, or you may actually be having a reaction to the oil itself. So don't stay under just because the instructions said so. Just come out, breathe, and if you need to seek medical attention, then do so.
So it's common sense, just like taking an ibuprofen.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Like we have 8 to 10 drops here, but again, every individual is going to be very different. So start low, go slow.
Yeah.
Try a few drops. Because it's going to be very different for different people. Like that right away for me, like hit me really fast, and for other people it may not hit them as fast, or it could hit them sooner. So obviously you want to go to the strength component to see that you can handle.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's we demonstrated basically 2 different techniques of creating essential oil products in 3 different types of recipes. And we just wanted to introduce people to using essential oils, and we wanted people to feel comfortable using essential oils, and where to go to get more information about using them, because they're such a powerful plant medicinary. So
That's great. Do we have time for any questions? Or
we have time for a couple questions, but then we're probably going to have to let it go for today. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll have a look here and see. what we can answer. What we can answer right now, they will answer after. Where we got here? What is the function of witch hazel in the insect repellent, and how long does the repellent last for?
That's
We
been answered already.
Okay.
Krista Smith would like to know the name of the clinic.
The clinic. So the clinic name, it's actually on page 3 if you have the PDF. So it says Keetsie First Nation Health Center. Amy, who's the wonderful receptionist, will answer and say that entire line to you. There's the contact information there. Just another disclaimer for the health center. It is across the river, so Golden Ears Bridge may or may not be a breaking point for some people. It's a toll road, so just ensure that however you're going to travel to the center, that you are able to do so.
Yeah, because it's at their Maple Ridge location, not at the. This was at the Maple Ridge Reserve, not at the Langley Reserve. Yeah.
And they were asking also, what are some of the carrier oils?
Yeah, so you can use almost anything from like olive oil to almond oil to coconut oil,
Rapeseed
oil.
You can use
Yeah.
a lot of different oils.
Yeah, each of them would have their own, all the different oils though, you may want to choose one or the other because of how it feels on the skin, how long you want it to last, maybe if there's like a specific indication of the oil that you're looking for, or maybe you have an allergy to an oil, like not everybody can use an almond oil because they may be allergic to almonds. So, but yeah, you can almost use any oil that you want.
Okay. There. I guess we should wrap up now.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm so thankful you came to visit us again. I know that they have to run. They have a lot to do. And you have to run out to Maple Ridge, right?
Yeah,
You're running for
to
today?
Katie, yeah.
Yeah.
A little drive ahead of me.
Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for joining us, and we
Thank
hope that
you.
you'll come back to visit us in the fall. We have 2 more sessions coming up before we end for the summer, and that's going to be May 24th, Ernie Carnell with co-occurring disorders again, and we're going to also have Mark Point back to visit us on May 26th. That'll be the final session, and that's increasing Aboriginal student success with their grandparents. So that should be exciting. And we want to thank the Indigenous Research Partnership for collaborating with the Learning Circle today, and for FNHA and for Davina behind the scenes. And thank you all for joining us so much. Hi, Chika.